So I want to talk a little bit about change. I notice that when I talk to people about change, most people say, I'm great with change. I love change. Change is wonderful. I really lean into change. And yet, what I've also noticed over the years, both in my corporate life and also running my own business, is that most people like change or think they like change so long as change does not impact them personally. I could be, for example, a leader that has a really clear vision for the future, and I'm comfortable with that change because I myself have defined that change and I'm steering the ship towards it. But if I'm somebody in that organization, for me, the impacts might be greater. I might not feel consulted. I might feel like that choice was taken away from me or that I was not in control of that change. So I will struggle with that change. Most people struggle with change that they feel was not theirs to control, that they feel blindsided by, that they feel a lack of control around. And most humans feel that change is difficult point blank. Last week, in fact, my 3-year-old son woke up in pain twice in the middle of the night, which is very unusual. And he was screaming, "Mommy, mommy!" So I went in, and his feet were sore. My feet are sore, my feet are sore. I need Paniol, I need Band-Aids, which, as we know, for those of us who are parents of toddlers, they are the ultimate cure for any illness. And this has happened a couple of times in maybe the last 6 months, and my husband and I have been thinking, how can he have sore feet? What's going on? Could it be growing pains? But surely he's too young for that. Anyway, it turns out that's exactly what it is. It's growing pains. And many of us experience this when we're younger. The act of actually growing into our adult bodies or into our larger bodies is painful as our body expands, as our bones grow. And for me, that is such a powerful metaphor for the change pain, the pain of growth. Most of us, when we intellectualize growth, when we intellectualize change, we talk about it being this beautiful and wonderful experience, this metamorphosis that we experience, because we look back on it and think, that was wonderful and I've progressed to where I am now. But the process of it is painful. And a lot of the time, Kubler-Ross talks about the stages of grief. A lot of the time, it's that change, we experience stages of grief as we go through change. We experience loss, we experience denial, we experience maybe depression, and then slowly moving towards that acceptance of this is where I want to go towards, and this is what matters to me. So I really can't think of a better analogy and couldn't think of anything better to share with you than this process of change that every single person is going through. Because right now, whether we like it or not, change is happening in all aspects of our life. There's a quote, and I can't remember who it's by, but it says that change is the only constant. So if change is the only constant, we as human beings need to get more comfortable with it. We need to be more comfortable with the uncomfortable pain of change. But what is more painful than change is the pain of looking back and realizing I didn't. The pain of looking back and thinking, I knew that something needed to be different, but I wasn't bold or brave enough to do anything about it. Of looking back and saying, are we really still at this point? Am I really still at this point in my life? Are we as a society, as a business, still doing these old things? And then having this painful realization that you didn't make any changes. So not changing is also painful. So for those of us that are starting our week this week, are looking out at the horizon of many, many changes in our life, some that we are taking ourselves and others that we might feel are being imposed on us, I want you to think about what you can do to move through that period, that process of grief. Acknowledge the feeling of loss of control. Acknowledge the anxiety and the pain that comes with change. Acknowledge the actual growth that you are going through. Recognize that that is something that is difficult, and move towards that acceptance, the excitement for where it is that you're going, having a perspective on what that vision is and how this change is a manifestation of that. Give it a go, see how that resonates for you, and please let us know how you are finding going through the changes that are happening in your life, how we can be in service of you. And as always, stay safe and be well. Take care.